Oh, Mr. Sub never changed. Oh, hi everyone on my Patreon. I heard somebody call it Patreon recently. I always said Patreon because it sounds like patron. But is it Patreon? I don't know. But it's time for another one of our Q&A sessions, and I've got some good questions here today. As always, if you're at the $5 or higher level, send me a question. It can be as stupid as you want. It can be really smart. It can be really funny. It can be really boring. I don't care. Ask me anything. It doesn't have to be about comics. It doesn't have to be about Doctor Who. It doesn't have to be about riffing. It can be about anything, and I will answer it. I want to make that perfectly clear. I struggle sometimes to get questions, but guys, anything. If you're at the $5 or higher level, towards the end of the month, I will send you a message, reply to it, and I will answer your question live, as we are going to do right now. Tapak Yari, hi Tapak, says, after the success of House/Powers of X, some people have argued that event comics should be a weekly affair rather than a monthly one. Do you think this is a good idea, or will it lead to unintended consequences like an increase in delays or crunch? Well, I think if it's going to be weekly, you have to have a good amount of it done before you start publishing, because delays will happen. They're inevitable. Siege was done weekly, which was where Norman Osborn was tossed out of power. I kind of like having it weekly. I kind of like not having to wait 8 months to get through an event, you know? At least bi-weekly, I think they should consider. Weekly might be a bit much, but bi-weekly, because House, Power. So, yes, we got something weekly, but the individual comics were bi-weekly. So actually, I think bi-weekly might be the way to go for the future. But yes, I do like being able to read an event, and then thus everything's fresh in my mind when I get to that next issue. Okay. Oliver, with no company, writes, I was worried I wouldn't be able to think of anything to ask this time, but I have something. What do you want to see happen next on Doctor Who? Like, is there anything you want to see done? Like, is there a historical or mythical figure you want the Doctor to meet? Or a place you want the Doctor to visit? Well, that's a good question. Beowulf. I'd love to have a Doctor Who Beowulf episode where we find that Grendel and its mother are actually some sort of alien, or maybe Beowulf's the alien and the Grendel needs the Doctor's help. That's always been a story I really like, so I wouldn't mind exploring that. It's fictional, obviously, but they did Robin Hood and made believe he's a piece of fiction. Go back to ancient Britain and introduced Beowulf and Grendel. Beyond that, I don't really have too much of an idea of what to do next with Doctor Who. I think obviously they've got to track the Master down and get the Siberian out of him at some point. I'm pretty sure Jack will probably show up in the Jadoon prison episode that they do for New Year's or Christmas. But beyond that, I've been enjoying it. Let's see where they go. I'm not going to enforce my will on it. Let's see what Chibnall has in mind. And the third question by Andrew Hesford. Hi, Brian. I hope the month has been treating you well. Here are my questions for you this time around. First, what do you think is the most underrated or overlooked type of media, like film, TV, comic, etc., that you recommend others to go look up? Audio. I'm a huge fan of old-time radio, and so much of that is public domain. You can find it on archive.org. You can find it on YouTube. Go listen to the old humor. I know sometimes it's not always politically correct. I'm not saying go watch Amos and Andy. Don't watch that. But I love Jack Benny. The old Marx Brothers stuff, the Bob Hope radio shows. They were really, really funny. Also, Murder Mysteries, The Whistler. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is one of my favorite detective shows. Go watch the old time radio. Go check that out. Go get an Audible subscription and start listening to audiobooks. I've been doing that recently. So audio needs another kind of listen to, if you will, as a storytelling medium. And secondly, what's the most bizarre thing you've ever read or watched? Doesn't have to necessarily be bad, just confusing. As always, keep up the great work and take care. In junior high, I want to say, or maybe even high school, they showed us a movie that Salvador Dali directed, and that was disturbing because at one point this guy takes a razor and cuts an eye. It's like a cow's eye in a close-up, but the eye gets cut and it was really hard to watch, really disturbing. I don't like gore. So I unintentionally got exposed to gore through this Salvador Dali film that I watched in high school, possibly junior high. Honestly, my tastes are fairly mainstream, so I don't think I have a satisfactory answer for that one. The Salvador Dali thing will have to be it, but that's it. Thank you guys. I'm still working on the MST 3K video. I'm about 11 minutes in, which is maybe the halfway mark. It's just taking up so much time. I'm really hoping to have it on Patreon by Tuesday, the 30th, so I get something for this month, but I might not. We'll see. Until then, guys, like I said, next month, watch your email, wait for me to ask for questions, and then just send me whatever you want. It doesn't have to be serious. It can be silly. It can be anything you want to know my opinion on. Or I could lie to you about things. I could bamboozle you. What the hell? Okay, thanks, guys. And always thank you for supporting my Patreon. I'm going to say Patreon this one time, then we're going back to Patreon. Thank you for supporting my Patreon. Until July, I'm your host, I'm your friend, I'm your benefactee, because you're my benefactors, Brian Hines.